Thanks a lot. You might realize already that the idea of this seminar is to provide a mix between practical approaches, practical experiences, like we heard from the Thessaloniki area, or as we just heard, but also from a theoretical point of view. So unfortunately my presentation is now to present you a little bit the theoretical background, the main idea of the approach. So you might heard a lot of these steps, but I would like to sum it up and try to run quickly through these slides just to give you an overview what we are talking about from a theoretical point of view. So the term active mobility consultancy is often mentioned in our previous, or has been often mentioned in our previous presentation, and I would like to go through. So I'm finished already, so thanks a lot. Yeah. So first of all, what are the overall aims of active mobility consultancy? So clearly we heard that many times now. We would like to increase the number of public transport users. We are focusing on rural and semi-rural areas. So in our previous presentations, we heard a lot about the problems in the area or how to improve the information for particular user groups. So we just had these presentations. By providing information, of course, we would like to raise the awareness towards public transport due to individualized information. So I will come back to that later on, what we understand under the term of individualized information, because this is one of the crucial issue of our approach. And finally, of course, we are talking about efficiency of public transport in rural areas. And when we talk about efficiency, we heard a lot that we are talking about dispersed settlements. We heard a lot about subsidies to public transport. And of course, by doing this campaign, by getting in contact with people, we try to receive feedback, of course, to improve the public transport supply in these areas, but also to run it more in an efficient way. So the main idea, as already said, is to distribute individualized information about public transport and sustainable mobility in the particular region. So you heard in the Smart Move project, we implemented our campaign in 8 areas, more or less all over Europe, I would say, so covering different areas of Europe. Among selected target groups, so we heard in a previous presentation that we would like to, or you should focus, when you are transferring information, you should focus on individual target groups. So for example, clearly we heard about households, having students, having pupils in the household. We talked about people who have special needs, for example. We heard about elderly people, needs of elderly people, for people who are not able to drive a car in these rural areas. So it's very important when we are talking about individual information to select the target group and to be clear whom we are talking about or whom we would like to approach. And finally, a crucial issue of this campaign is also that the campaign is supported by accompanying measures. So I will come to that later on as well. Accompanying measure to this respect means that apart from distributing information about public transport, we would like to have people on board. We would like to organize particular events for people. We would like to support the consultancy or the pure distribution of information by discussing with the people on an individual basis. So you heard that already, so I would like then to give you, as said, a more theoretical background information about the different elements. So first of all, individualized information campaign. And by the way, this is based on the concept of dialogue marketing. So we know the concept of dialogue marketing for many, many years. However, it was not used in public transport or in transportation issues so far. So we started to implement dialogue marketing recently, more focusing in the urban areas. So as far as we know, the Smart Move project is one of the first projects where we try to implement the approach of dialogue marketing in the sector of transportation, or public transport in the rural areas. The integration of public transport feeder systems, so I think it was mentioned already, so often it is mentioned that, it's mentioned by the inhabitants that we cannot reach the public transport station, it's far away, I don't know where it is, and so on and so on. So this, the second bullet point here, deals with answers how to approach the public transport system, how to approach the backbone of the public transport system. For example, a railway station, which might not be next to your house, but of course, by providing feeder systems, and I think we heard in one of our presentations, the flexible public transport system. So of course then we would like to promote flexible public transport system as well, to say, look, there is an opportunity to reach a train station as well, which might be more than 1 or 2 or 3 kilometers far away. But by integrating in our campaign, the public transport feeder system would like to overcome this barrier to reach the public transport system as a whole. As I said, interactive and participatory events for inhabitants, just to give the people the floor, to give us the feedback where their problems are. And of course, sometimes if you just simply talk to the people in rural areas, you get a lot of information how to improve the public transport system. I mean, we all are here, I suppose that most of you or all of you are transport experts, but clearly talking to people, you get information how to improve on an individual basis, how to improve on an individual basis. And finally, of course, the evaluation. It's always important when you're talking to stakeholders, to politicians. So what are the outcomes? What are the results of your campaigning? At the very beginning, I said, we are talking about cheap measures, soft measures. So we don't want to invest a lot of money, but of course then, we would like to achieve reasonable results. So coming through the different steps, I will run through that very quickly because you heard it from the practical presentation or the practical experiences made in Thessaloniki already. So first of all, preparation. Clearly, you must be clear about the geographic area. So which people you should approach with which information. So we heard about a public transport line of 45 kilometers. So first of all, you have then to decide which is the catchment area of a particular line you would like to promote, because it doesn't make sense to promote a line which is far away from individual houses, just to distribute. We would like to distribute information about public transport. So as said, selection of the target group, I mentioned that already, and contact with stakeholders. So it's always important to have stakeholders on board, because I mean, in our case, we are academics, so we are not the decision makers, we are not public transport operators, but we have to work with them. We have to work with them, and of course, we need the support of them to support the information campaign. So it's very important to have them on board. The second step then at the general contact phase. So first of all, information letter and return postcard. So just to have a first contact with the people to say there is something going on. There's something going on in your region. Segmentation phase, the third step is it's a step about target group, about defining target group. And this is just some examples that you can segment in current use of public transport or potential users with or without alternatives. Clearly, it doesn't make sense if a person knows the bus already, if the person knows the time schedule and so on, to send them more information about time schedule. So persons might be using that information already, so it doesn't make sense, it's just wasting money. So first of all, we try then to focus on, in this particular example, on potential users. So potential users can be a regular household, but as I said, some particular groups of the person who need special information about. And of course then, finally, willingness to participate in a campaign. So it's a kind of first step to get a feeling to whom we are talking about. So if a person say, well, I'm totally not interested in any information, then again, you have to stop the campaign, you have to stop talking with this individual information because you know that this person is not interested in your campaign. On the right-hand side, by the way, you see an example of a first contact information letter, and on the right-hand side, you see that people have to tick a box. Yes, I'm interested in this particular information, and in this particular example, we ask them for the name of the person, and for the phone number. And by the way, the idea of this approach is to be in line with the data regulation, so the data protection law, because it's a kind of gray area in Europe just to get in contact with people by the phone saying, hello, I'm Mr. X and I would like to sell you something. So by following this approach then, you're more or less in line with data protection law because people are giving you their name and their phone number on a voluntary basis. Individual information, so what we did in our campaign is to distribute order forms. So the order form consists on a 4-page folder, and you have, of course, a lot of information listed there, but people has now the chance then to select the information which they are interested in. And as you can see here, I underlined the comparative calculations for trips using public transport and car. So this is, I think this is one important issue when we are talking about individualization. Because, as I said previously, we are talking about potential users. So normally these persons are supposed that they are currently using a car. And by approaching that, or by offering them these comparative calculation, the idea is to provide the advantage of using public transport in comparison with the car. Because sometimes people do not really know how much a car is. So they simply use it saying, okay, I mean, you have to pay for the fuel and the car is standing in front of my house. So no one considered that the car has some running costs apart from fuel costs as well. So this is what we offer, and this is one of the idea how to convince people and how to provide information on these individual basis. I talked about the persons who are using public transport already, who are not interested or they have no needs for any further information because they know more or less everything. So clearly, to keep them on board, the idea here is just to send them a thank you present that these people are using public transport. Here are some examples of the order form. As I said, it's a 4-page folder. And finally, yeah, people then have the opportunity, if they take part in this campaign, they have the opportunity to select one of these thank you presents. So they were different in each region. So in our case, we offered an umbrella or a USB stick. Some of our partners offered a kind of lottery where people can win a laptop, a computer, or whatever. So it's up to you then, it's up to your budget, of course, but clearly there should be some incentive for the people to take part in this campaign. Once people return these order form, we organize, or we should organize the delivery phase of this information on a personal basis. So in our case, the information material was delivered personally. So we arranged a meeting with the person, or we handed, or the idea is to hand it over this information, just to show a face, that there is a face behind that, and of course then to give the people to raise further questions and to talk to the person who is delivering the information material. And finally, yes, consultancy phase. So apart from just simply distributing this individualized information, we offer on an optional basis individual mobility management for people. So in many regions you have professional mobility manager, and clearly we can offer them that these manager arrange some home visits and to arrange the mobility of the whole household in a very efficient way. So this is an optional step then after this individual information distributed. As mentioned already, so public transport feeder system, because this is one of the first or the main argument people are using in rural areas. They do not know how to reach the station. Normally they have the feeling the station is far away. And so what we try to provide in this, and this is one of a kind of add-on to the normal dialogue marketing, and within a Smart Move project we come up with, I don't know, 15 or 16 possibilities of providing these public transport feeder system. As mentioned before, the example of a flexible system, but also a bike sharing system, for example. So there could be offered, and I know some regions where they offered some bike shares to bike to the railway station. There's always the problem, as said here, first and last mile. So how can I reach the station? But on the other hand, of course, you have to take care how can I reach my my final destination. Accompanying measures. So again, an add-on, and the idea is to organize events addressed to a certain mode or to the general public. And the idea is here, as I said, to give the flow and with the goal to overcome these subjective barriers simply by discussing with people, to raise the awareness, or even to recruit participants. So in some of our areas we have some, we had an Easter market, and of course we organized a stand there just to have a first contact with people, that to give the first information, and it was then related to the contact phase. Clearly, as I said, to offer a platform for feedback to improve the public transport system, and to achieve the direct effects by convincing people at site. And this is my final slide, evaluation. So clearly, as always, the evaluation is to quantify the success of any campaign. So whenever you have to invest some money, of course, then you have to say what are the outcomes. And in our case, we decided to go for these 4 bullet points. So the evaluation of some, I would say, some simple statistic figures. So, for example, how many people are willing to participate? How many people filled in these order forms? So how many people are interested in this individual information? Of course, then, which information is requested? But also to collect current mobility data. So it's a kind of, well, I would say a hidden evaluation, because we're approaching people to get in contact with them for providing them information. But on the other hand, you might collect very interesting, very useful figures of current mobility, which might be used then again for improving the public transport system. Yes, once the campaign has been finished, of course then we would like to collect information about behavior changes. So what happened in the households, what happened to the individual persons? Are they now using the bus, or are they just throwing away the information, saying, yeah, well, thanks you, but my car is still standing in front of my house. So this is what will be done in the Smart Move project in the next few months. So the campaigns have been finished already in all our case studies. So, but as you can imagine, we are deeply interested in that, clearly, because this is why we are doing that. And clearly, in connection with this, or as a result of this ex-post survey, the collection of ridership data before and after the campaign. So on the one hand, we are getting in contact with people asking them about the behavior changes. On the other hand, we would like to measure how the number of passengers on the particular bus lines has been changed. So as an ex-ante survey, all of us counted passengers in the particular lines, and of course we are doing that after the campaign as well. So I'm through, so thanks for your attention, and every one of us is open for further questions, of course.